post the COVID-19 will have similar kind of instability. And that's why it relates to your original question about why Sudan and why Europe and the world is keen to stabilize this situation as much as possible.
Well, actually, I was referring to the instability inside Sudan and how this can reflect on the whole Africa and how this will put in jeopardy the whole world. You brought up this issue and you pinpointed the importance of this issue and how would that reflect. But in fact, there is instability in Sudan for different reasons. And how we can pinpoint our fingers on issues that can really reflect on the continent in particular and on the world at large?
There are some kind of deeply engraved issues. Let's not forget, and that's, I'm not going or not deviating from your question, let's not forget that it was not long ago Sudan was a larger country and was divided into two.
Yes.
And with that itself, that created a little bit of instability that I hope it will not last too long, but history tells us this kind of instability, especially around border lines, will continue for some time. Again, we don't wish that to be the case. But also, when you have military groups, I don't want to use other expressions, and these are active groups, and again, you insinuated a while ago about other forces could be supporting this group or that group, that will definitely create this kind of instability. To directly also address your question, I would say, like any similar situation, meetings like that and having external influential partners together with a leadership inside Sudan that will try to bring all these kind of different political forces or influential partners along this spectrum together will be the key one to boost this kind of situation and overcome this critical stage. I think that's a very challenging time. Taban, we realize that this will not happen in one day. There is no magical answer for this other than a sincere support from outside, true partnership with African partners, on top of which Egypt. Our relationship with Sudan, I don't want to say ever about Sudan, they are our partners, we are brothers, we were one.
We were one, exactly.
We were one, literally one.
Yes, indeed.
And I don't want to say we were, we are still in one way or another. Many Egyptian families until today have their roots in Sudan.
The root grass,
exactly.
Grass from Sudan.
Exactly.
And they have their parents and ancestors from Sudan, so yes.
Several of the former Egyptian presidents, their mothers or grandparents or whatever
like
were from Sudan.
Sadat, for instance.
Sadat, Mohamed, Naguib, these people. So,
Yes.
so I'm saying not only about people who were very well known in the society.
Yes.
So it's not any partner or brother. It's far more than that. We are simply one.
Yes, but you just put aside what is going on the borders between Sudan and Ethiopia and the instability that is happening there.
Well, that at some time and point, I have to admit, it was mysterious to me at some time and point, this kind of relationship. And later on, I think with the political transition, what happened is that Sudan is now realizing how critical the situation is, and they would want very much this situation to be dealt with. I would also add that Sudan, throughout its history, had several kind of by the way, this area and this border lines with Sudan and Ethiopia, if you go back to history, you will find that they were partially in Egypt and partially in Sudan territory.
Yes.
So these are parts to be added to the political instability that will be there. Let's add the Eritrean part to the stage from the Ethiopian side. All of that makes the situation along the African Horn as well as the depth of Africa a one that needs to be dealt with aggressively but very skillfully.
Yes, very much indeed, and we'll also bring about also the important issue of the dam. But before we go on with our discussion, let's first see this report. And France hosts Africa summits on Sudan post-COVID finance. Let's watch.
French President Emmanuel Macron hosts African leaders and chiefs of global financial institutions for twin summit meetings that seek to help Sudan into a new democratic era and provide Africa with critical financing swept away by the COVID-19 pandemic. A conference on Monday attended by several heads of state aims to rally support for the Sudanese government under Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok in the transition period. This will be followed by a summit on Tuesday on African economies that will try to fill a financing shortfall of almost $300 billion caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Both meetings, held in a temporary exhibition center in Paris, will be a chance for France to support Africa and its economies. With some 24 African heads of state due to attend Tuesday's summit, it will be one of the biggest in-person top-level meetings held during the COVID-19 pandemic. Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok said ahead of the meeting he hopes Sudan can help wipe out a $60 billion foreign debt bill this year by securing relief and investment deals at the Paris conference. Sudan's debts to the Paris Club, which includes major creditor countries, is estimated to make up around 38% of its total $60 billion foreign debt. So far been less badly hit by the COVID-19 pandemic than other global regions, with a total of 130,000 dead across the continent, although the human catastrophe in India shows it is way too early to sound the all clear. But the economic cost is only too apparent, with the International Monetary Fund warning in the autumn that Africa faces a shortfall in the funds needed for future development, a financial gap of $290 billion up to 2023. A moratorium on the service of public debt agreed by the Paris Club and the G20 in April last year was welcomed, but will not be enough on its own. Many want a moratorium on the service of all external debt until the end of the pandemic. Serge Ecu, the president of the West African Development Bank, said that Africa needed much longer loan maturities that went beyond 7 years and interest rates that were 3% rather than 6%.
Right, welcome back, and back to you, Dr. Abu Zeid. And I wanted to speak about two questions, so I'll try to mix them together. And the dam issue dispute was one of the issues that were among the files that were discussed between President Sisi and Macron, as well as President Sisi and the Sudanese leadership. So how do you view this particular point? How do you view the files that were discussed today between President Macron and President Sisi?
Try to wrap up these two questions into one. First of all, the President has definitely brought this up to the table of discussion. The issue of the Renaissance Dam and its impact on Egypt and on Sudan. And I have to say that Sudan over the past few months have witnessed, sad but true, the start of the serious start of the negative impacts on Sudan right away. And you remember that not long ago some floods took place and so on, and now followed by droughts and several dams in Sudan.
That was after the first filling.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
Now the other part of this is that also I liked today that I have heard myself Mr. Ahmed Abul Ghait, the Secretary General of the Arab League, was also pinpointing in his 5 points that he listed as well, the right of Sudan, together with Egypt, of their fair and their well-known historic share of the water of the Nile. Why are we bringing this up? Because we don't want to add already, if you're talking about Sudan, salt to the injury, because that will even multiply and magnify the problems there. But because this opportune moment for Egypt to talk about this kind of issue in the middle of this whole hard and ongoing and sometimes disappointing negotiations and discussions. I want to point to the viewers on my personal scale, and I think you know that very well. When you go to conferences, you have sessions, you have meetings, you have specific roles to play, but perhaps the more important role or benefit is that you have all these kind of side talks, as you mentioned, with presidents, with heads of state, with prime ministers, with investors, with leaders of companies, and you know, so that is a real benefit, because to try to arrange for any one of these meetings when you are at your homeland, it takes months, if not more than that, to have this kind of meetings for the busy schedule of all parties. The other one is the other files that were discussed. I would like also to point...
But before we go to
Yes.
other files, here the President puts that when he spoke about the issue of the dam and the issue of the Nile River, the President here stressed, I'm just quoting him,
Yes.
and this is why I'm reading, the President stressed that there is no doubt that the Nile River can represent a pillar for a more comprehensive cooperation among the countries of the Nile Basin if the political will is available.
Yes.
And we have seen also some of the comments made by the Ethiopian government
Yes.
on the issue of an agreement, and that they really, after their talks with the US envoy and all that, that they want to resort also to an agreement, but with some sticking points. How do you view the importance of a comprehensive cooperation among the Nile Basin countries? How is this important for the African continent at large?
Well, the Nile Basin has at least 9 countries. Ethiopia is a key one for them, for us, because most of our water comes from
Yes,
Ethiopia,
indeed.
like that. I want to say that this issue with Ethiopia knows very well, and the President has said, by the way, this several times before, this is not the first time, that the Nile should be a source of cooperation historically. And today, rather than an issue or a source of disagreement between Ethiopia and between Sudan and Egypt. So there is an opportunity rather than a point for debate, argument, negotiations, and some kind of hard conflict, heaven forbid, or more than that. So that's very well established. The President said that. I'm just trying to put things together here. In the Aswan conference, when he declared Aswan as the cultural capital
Yes.
for Africa.
Yes.
So these are ways to cooperate and let Africa not be anymore a divided continent. And let us not allow other powers and other countries to step in to create or to deepen any of the old kind of problems as such.
Also
So-
other, yes,
Yes,
indeed.
please, go ahead.
Also other files as important were the Libyan file, Syria, and the Middle East. And
Yes.
yes, please go ahead.
I was going to come to that, but before I leave that one about the dam, in Egypt, if this dam was built merely for hydropower, Egypt has offered several times to cooperate in this regard. Libya, Sudan, the Palestinian one are on top of the agenda. There have been serious discussions on that. Other parties joined this kind of discussion. And again, France is being relied upon heavily in this to represent the wise voice of Europe, to try to mile down and stabilize the situation. And again, that's another reminder, I wouldn't say even opportunity, to go back, and the President has stated that, our foreign minister stated that more than once in this talks, to have the Palestinians' right for their land, for their state, for their eastern Jerusalem as their legitimate capital.
Indeed, indeed, that exactly is the point, a legitimate land for the Palestinians on the Arab Initiative, the 1967 border with East Jerusalem as the capital, and also the stability of Libya, because that were another point where they agreed on. Unfortunately, my time is out and I have to end it here, where I have too much questions to ask. More than that, Dr. Mohamed Naguib Abu Zeid, professor at the ACU, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's a lot happening around us, and therefore there is so much to be said. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Tomorrow will be another important debate with another colleague. Good night.